Hello, dear humanity. Today I'm going to share about matriarchal governance and how the principle of mothering and of the mother, the archetype of the mother, and everything that it brings into reality is so important for a different politics. And I want to start because this is really true the essence of matriarchal governance with co-regulation of the nervous system. So drop into your body with me together. Put your hands on your body. Breathe. Close your eyes for a moment. And be fully present with me, no matter when you're watching that, if it's where you are or in 10 years. Because your body is your power, your presence is your wisdom. And that's where we start, in the co-regulation. Release all the tensions that you feel, that you can release, and just, you're safe, you're here, you're now, we are present together in this moment, and all is welcome. So yeah, this is really where we start, and this I really feel like should be, at any political discussion, any political reality, the nervous system should be in the center, because the nervous system is the navigator of life, of the movement of life. And again, I was sharing yesterday about how we mothers hold this unity of the intensity and like really the initiation of the terrors and the cracks of life, of the different stages of our experience here on earth, and at the same time this deep love and care. And I really feel like the nervous system, the co-regulation is key for our development, and if we are actually as a collective will be able to live in peace. And I'm gonna share a lot about the different, like what that exactly means, because one is like really the body, because our body is actually designed to regulate itself again and again. Only we humans, we have this curse and blessing of the free will that we can choose, where we put our focus, our presence. This is very different from animals or from other, from nature, like plants, minerals. They are still deeply in that just natural flow whenever there is a shock, a trauma, something that is in disbalance. It has a very natural way to just regulate itself, and there's also no time limit. And of course, we also have that on the big movements. And maybe that even means, that we don't make sense anymore at a certain point on this planet Earth. Maybe even sooner than further away. But we humans, we can choose, to really consciously drop into our bodies and co-regulate. And where we learn that, we learn it from our mothers. It's like really the base, this co-regulation, because we are deeply inherent social beings. Like we humans, we have the longest socializing process after being born. We need, I would even say, more than 20 years till we actually are capable to be a grown-up sovereign being, because there are so many aspects that we need to learn, like to really what it means to be a co-creative human. And so our mothers are again our access to learn that, to learn co-regulation in the first years, and the first 3 years are very important. because it creates the set for everything else on every level. Like for sure we can do a lot afterwards, but it really sets a big base for, you know, for the nervous system, for our health, for our immunity, for our social capacities and experiences, for our trust in the world. And so it's really about this co-regulation. And it's not an easy thing. Like even I said this morning to my husband, I feel overwhelmed in a way, like now that I'm with the little one in her first years, I have to also go back to my own little one, because I didn't receive the best foundation in these first years. I was given to a foster family, and so that was a big impact on my nervous system. And I really am still learning to really, like, you know, regulate myself and then co-regulate myself with my daughter so that she can, you know, regulate herself, and to do that in the whole mycelium. But that is really the design. Like, you know, I can feel when I am as a mother dysregulated, how that spills over to everyone else. And I can feel, I can directly have a direct response if I am able to regulate myself and regulate, you know, in the field, how everyone is impacted. And so I really feel for the matriarchal governance, there is a big knowledge around that, like how the nervous system creates actually the capacity of what we are really able to be present with and to integrate and to alchemize and then bring into action. And it really is all about resonance, because we are this deeply resonant species. We don't exist as individuals, even if neoliberalism is selling that to us. You know, it's all about your own unique experience, but it just is not the truth. We deeply crave, and luckily there's more and more also in these times of craziness, more and more humans waking up to actually what I crave for is authentic relationship, authentic connection, where I can be with all I am. And again, this is, you know, the true mother is present with all there is, and there's nothing that is not welcome. Of course, we bring our stories and this spills over generations, but again, this is why it's so important that we, you know, we are in a way this ancestral gatekeepers, where we can alchemize the most deep wounds of you know, generations, and bring something new into the next generations. And with every generation there's a new chance to alchemize that. And again, so that's why it's so important to really hold the mothers and nurture the mothers and listen to the mothers. And this is another factor of, you know, of matriarchal governance. It's all about listening. Because I can have an idea what is good for my child. I can have an idea of like, oh, this is what is needed. And then I want to implement it, or I want to, you know, like live it. But my daughter is ultimately the one who, you know, is giving me feedback, if the way how I bring it, if she can take it. So it's a deep listening, and listening like really in every direction, listening to the earth, listening to the field, listening to the different members, listening to my own body. So it's really this, it starts with listening. Every decision in matriarchal governance starts with listening. And again, there is this consciousness of like, I am a vessel for life. It's not about me. It's not about the ego of me. It's I am a vessel for the sacredness of life, and I listen how life wants to move through me and how I can serve it. This is the design ultimately of every human and of every mother, of every woman. And so it's to remember that collectively, to remember how can we truly be vessels. And again, you know, it's not that then the personal needs are not being cared for. It's the opposite. we really are felt and understood as these multidimensional beings, as that we have a personality, that we have an animal body who needs safety, who needs care, who needs resonance, who needs coherence of like, oh, okay, I am perceived here. But then also as a soul, like how can this soul that is so vast and so wild and so, just so powerful, how can actually the soul merge with that animal body? And then also like really, how can we truly, remember the power of life, and not in that there is one who is powerful, but really truly understanding all life is powerful. All of us are powerful. Like if we understand that life is really an ecosystem here on Earth, in every corner of this planet, but also like really in the cosmos, then we understand that each one of us has their unique part that they're playing in this organism, in this body of life. And so they can bring their unique, whatever there is, they're here to bring. And at the same time, everything else can also be there. And it's again, like it's about connection. And most of us have not received from our mothers and fathers enough of that. There's a lot of collective, oh, this is how you have to do it, this is how you have to be it. And again, if we learn, and this is a big part of matriarchal governance, to learn we are these unique beings who, yes, we have needs, we all have needs of safety, of nourishment, of connection, of freedom, of growth. If those things are given, but there is this deep listening of what is this specific soul bringing? What is this specific human here to live, to experience? And that goes then in every other direction. It goes like, to our earth. It goes to just everywhere. That we really are interested in listening. Like, what is this life form? What is this life form? What is this water telling us? What is this wind telling us? What is the sun telling us? What is... And some happening during the day telling us. What is our neighbor telling to us? And again, if we are interested in listening, like, okay, there is some information, and we have the spaciousness to receive and to attune, and then see like, okay, how can I show up best in service to serve this being, to specifically serve this being? And really the art of giving and receiving, which is like mothering. It's all about that. It's like this so deep giving physically, life force, like really from bones to flesh to milk to sleep to everything, but also receiving such a I think there's nothing more touching, or at least for me, that when a soul, like when I held my daughter, but I also felt that with other children, when they are so small, but also when they're older, and they give themselves in your arms, and they trust you, and they can feel that you are present and holding them, and just this trust of, they give themselves so fully. And again, if we can learn that from each other again, that this is actually the essence of being human, that we can give each other so fully and so entirely, and can really trust each other. Like really this knowing this other human cares about what I'm going through, is interested in what is alive for me, what is bothering me, what my needs are. Like it's really this deep care. And what I often hear is, a lot about the people say like, yeah, but this is a lot of vanilla culture. And I get it, in many ways you can say like, yeah, life is tough, life is intense, and it is wild, It is brutal. But I really, truly feel in my bones and my womb that in that intensity of the brutality of this planet, we as humans have really this capacity of caring and creating harmony with all life forms, so that we can take the wildness, that we can take the intensity, that we can take the cruelty of life really as the most beautiful experience that's possible on this planet Earth. It's in a way like I feel, because there's so many factors that we humans need so that we are well, like very on a biological level for this animal body. You know, if it's too cold, if it's too hot, if we have, you know, too little, we die or we get sick. But in that frame of what we need, there's a unique experience. And I feel mothers, we can feel that it's like this being in connection, but at the same time you want other life forms to be free and exactly themselves. You know, it's really not about, what can I have? But it's really about the love for experiencing and being in connection with all the different life forms in its inherent beauty, in its inherent aliveness. I feel that is at the core of motherhood, the understanding of, you know, that. And again, this spills over into every direction. You know, if we understand the ocean like that, if we understand the forest like that, if we understand everything, animals like that, then we make such different choices. So co-regulation, listening, attuning, giving and receiving, all these principles are very, very deeply part of matriarchal governance. And if we take that now concrete, you know, because there is these deep topics, I know that, you know, often I speak in images and in feelings and in a way in dreams. And then people say like, yeah, but what does that concretely mean, Sarina? What does this, you know? But let's break it down. Let's break it down into education. Let's break it down into housing. Let's break it down into, you know, like laws in economy, in relationships. Because all of these things, we know we are in very deep challenges collectively. And let's take it down into even, you know, further in energy. Like all these topics that we all are in some form impacted. Like even if the billionaires think like they can create their little islands of survival, this is an illusion, because we are so deeply interconnected. Our planet is in a big, massive transformation, and a lot of mass extinction of so many life forms, and a lot of, you know, sickness and war and violence and injustice. And I'm aware of all these. Like a big part of my adult life was being in this feeling, the overwhelm of like how to feel all these topics. And many times I couldn't really, you know, function well in the existing dominant systems, because I just felt the illusion of it. I felt the short time reality of it. So this is not just me being, you know, this vanilla ideology. For me, this is very down to earth peace work and reparation work. Because if we take those principles into, let's start with education. If we are truly interested that our educational systems serve life we wouldn't do what we're doing right now in our schools all over the planet, or mostly, all over the planet. Because that is not, there's a lot of scientific studies that the genius that every child brings is disappearing within the first 5 years in big scale. And that has a reason. And it has a reason in my perception. And I'm not saying that I, speak the truth. I really just speak from my experience, from my perception, from my sensitivity. Is that there is not enough listening. There is so much thinking of, okay, we know how, and to just put it onto children, like literally to dump it and to squeeze them into containers and thinking and doing, and literally to sit on chairs all day and learn with, in a certain way. I have nothing against writing and reading and coming together, but it needs to be really attuned to every child, specifically where are they? Is that the topic that they actually want to learn now? Is that what their soul is here to live? And I feel if we really attune into that depth, to every child, and also to a group of children and to a neighborhood, and what are the true life topics here, and change the way how we learn, and that our governments are actually interested to create that would be such a different experience. I know so many humans just in my own, and I know I'm very privileged. I went to the Waldorf school myself in Switzerland, and still I have so many people in my age, in my, social body of humans who have suffered so much in school. And I think this is, is a crime in many ways. It's a crime. No child should suffer in being in this earth. And again, I was sharing yesterday a little bit about the politics of birth. Of course, we can start much earlier, really with the birthing process, and to really see okay, what, we need birthing temples where the moment of birth is really held sacred and held in gnosis, and really that women and children and fathers and families are taken into the center of the tribe, of the society, and being taken care of and listened. And it doesn't mean that we have to just, forget about medical systems. No, medical systems are amazing, but it just needs a shift of where that is put, again, the listening. How many mothers have experienced when they were giving birth that they were not listened to? I know so many birth stories that they were not listened to, that they were violated, you could even say sexually violated, because it's, really the sexes, and physically violated, emotionally violated, psychologically violated. And also fathers, and also children who were not listened to, not really received. So what if we understand the need to educate the birthing, the medical system, to serve actually life and to serve the humans who are actually there? And I know that is what they try, and they do their best. But I really have to say we have to learn to do better, because it cannot be that so many humans on this planet are so deeply suffering in so many forms. And this, I'm speaking now again on a very privileged part of culture, dominant cultures. I come from Switzerland, and I have had in many ways the most advanced society around me, And still I feel like this is just the very beginning, or just this is one side of the aspect. And like really, if we can bring that kind of listening, and there it comes to to really understand also the indigenous cultures and what we actually have to learn from indigenous cultures. I go a bit in spiral. It's not linear, it's not boxes. I really take one topic and go to the other topic, because that's exactly, again, the principle of matriarchal governance. It is weaving, and it's like spiraling and circling it. So if we listen to indigenous people who have lived with land for so many years and decades, hundreds of years, millennia even, with the land so deeply, what arrogance strikes us that we have the feeling to say, this is just primitive. I feel, again, we are coming from our own dysregulated consciousness and putting that on other life forms, which is just, again, it is violence. So what if we really listen and feel in our bodies, and feel also there the deep wisdom that we don't have to have a monoculture in whatever form. We don't need that. We can deeply, truly trust in a diversity of life forms. And that there are different groups and different cosmologies and different realities that can absolutely be in peace with each other, in respecting each other and being curious and interested and learn from each other. And so this is another thing I wanted to deepen, the circles and the spirals, that there is no need for power over, not from a specific model, not from specific people, but really understanding that we are ecology, and that we design our political structures as an ecology. There's something that is alive. Politics need to serve people, need to serve life. If they become an instrument to be in a power over because of, again, wounded children who didn't receive what they needed to feel precious and loved when they were small, then we are dysregulated in a collective structure, which is the reality. Most of our neoliberal societies are highly dysregulated in a very massive form. And so this whole power over dynamics is just creating so much more suffering for so many life forms, and also so many more life forms more than human. I really feel the mass extinction that is happening and the danger that we are creating with the way how we're living. We know that it's growing exponentially, and we don't know what the consequences will be just in 1 year, in 10 years, in 20 years, in 50 years, in the future generations. And we have a responsibility there. We really truly have a responsibility there. And it's all about, can we come back to power together? What does it mean if I as an individual have success with whatever material, whatever freedom, and it creates a lot of suffering for others? This is completely insane. It's not success. It can never be success. Not true success. because success is really this shared power, and shared power means that we all, as all the different life forms, can have an experience that match the sacredness of existing. And it can never be that, you know, one species is dominating another species, that one sacredness is extincting the sacredness of others. We see that in the really the absurdness and the cruelty of religious wars, and how, like, really, it's like, for me, it's again and again, and I know that you can speak with mothers on every side and they agree. I know it's really about, it cannot be that we go into actions and violence structures like that, systematic perversion, and we are hurting life on other side, you know. This is not leadership, this is not truth, this is not love, this is not life. It's where we put death at the center, and really death in a sense of power over, because death, like, is a part of life. When we see it in nature, there's always in nature, when we really let nature be, there are cycles. So everything goes in cycles. And again, women, we have that deep principle of life in a cyclic rhythm in our body, like over a lifetime, and in the bleeding years as a moon rhythm. And it's really these rhythms. It's not to be afraid of death, because death is part of life, but it's like the right relationship with the rhythms and the cycles of things. And when we have relational power and not power over, it's not us who decides who is, you know, whose cycle is when and what is the rhythm, but we actually really attune to the cycles and to the rhythms of life. Again, it's this shared attuning where life is at the center. So how would that look like, you know? How would it look like in religion? I dream of a temple of synthesis where all the different religions can come, because every religion has truth and beauty in its essence, at its core. And what if we bring those values and learn from each other and be inspired from each other, but also that it's totally fine that there is enough space to be different. Again, this is matriarchal governance. It's not separation. It's not, oh, you are not welcome. It's integration. It's listening. It's listening. What is your unique flavor? What is your specific value that you bring? And how can you bring it that it can be moving freely and alive in the tissue of this organism that we are as a whole? It's this Gaia, this Mother Gaia. What if we really see that this planet Earth is a mother herself, and that we put her at the center and not our small ego needs, but that we understand if we actually take care of the big mother, we are being taken care of. And if we are tuned to the rhythms and the cycles and the wisdom and the landscapes that she's bringing, that we are taken care of. And that we can organize ourselves, that we really have that creative capacity as humans to organize ourselves in a way that everyone is taken care of. Yes, that needs also in some parts sacrifice, but it only needs sacrifice there where our ego is so blown up, and where we compensate something, where we feel we are not good enough, or we're not loved enough, or we are not nurtured enough. That's where we compensate, and where we place that compensation as a burden for others. So it's to really learn, again, it's this attuning, and again, this is something we learn with our mothers, also with our fathers. But again, the fathers, they can show up as really nurturing and courageous and protecting fathers, as much as they have been nurtured from their mothers, and as much as they can attune themselves also to their wives or, you know, other community members. So it's all again about this: how do I feel loved and nurtured by my mother, and by my father, by my community, by the people around me. Because if we feel we are loved, we can be who we truly are, we are nurtured, we don't need so much. We don't need such big and grandiose things. We can really just take in our place in the organism and bring our unique. And yes, maybe there is, like, you know, in that organism sometimes there is something specific thing that can grow out of that healthy soil, of that alive mycelia. So it's a lot about understanding that life is not in pyramid, but that it is in circles and spirals and rhythms. It's like really this dance. I often say life is a dance. And can we learn to dance again? And dance has a lot to do. Can we attune to our bodies? Can we attune to the cosmos? Can we open our bodies to the cosmos? And can we listen to what our gravity, you know, how we can move in gravity, but use our imagination and our inspiration and our intuition and our instincts to create. Again, it comes then to this conscious co-creation, where I feel like this is really the essence of being human. A conscious co-creation and the magic, you know, there is an unknown factor that is at the core of everything. And I feel, again, like if we really come to a matriarchal governance where that is at the center, and that spills over in every system and every infrastructure we design, in every corner of our realities. Like just imagine, just feel the power of that, and really understand, you know, that every small reality has a wisdom, as a biome. And when we truly respond, attune to that, how would our structures look like? How would our leadership look like? I feel like very deeply that leadership then would be much more fluid, much more organic, much more like, oh, there's life force, you know, popping through someone, nurturing all of the community, and then it you know, has its rhythm and its cycle and goes somewhere else, like nature does it, right? Then there is, like, whenever there's something happening, there's a movement, it overspills, and then everyone is nurtured around that, and then another cycle starts and something else can come up. And so I think I'm gonna do, in the next days or tomorrow or then the day afterwards, I'm gonna talk about bionomy, because I feel this is a big topic in itself, to really understand that economy in a matriarchal way is just a completely different paradigm of values and of sharing. But this is all at the core, you know, if you really understand, we put life at the center. How do we let life forces flow, and how do we organize ourselves where life forces are a movement and are shared and are cared for and can organically do its thing, you know, do its mystery, do its magic, do its wonder. Because I feel this is another thing, you know, like to really, the moment I as a mother, and I'm bringing back to my personal to end, when I as a mother, if I forget the wonder that my daughter is, and the wonder that I am in that sense, and the wonder everyone is, I become not the best mother. You know, the best mother is like really in this deep, like, okay, I listen, I attune, and I act accordingly in service for that wonder that wants to show itself, wants to experience itself, wants to reveal itself, wants to try out itself. And that the biggest sacred gift is that I can be a witness, and that I'm here to tend to it. Yeah. So this is it. Tending to the wonders that we are. Hey, this is big, you know. This is big. This is where we actually come to nervous regulation together, and where we don't react, and where we don't, you know, it's very fast and narrow and a lot of fear, but where we actually have space to really co-create. And one aspect that I didn't dive so deeply in is like really then the emotional maturity, you know, that there can things happen, like we have space for grief, for anger, for sadness, for chaos. There is space for that because we have a regulation, and we can actually see this is part of life, and it's welcome, and we don't have to close ourselves. If it's from ourselves, from our child, from our husband, from our partners, beloveds, community, you know, family member, work, co-worker, whoever, someone random on the street, we have capacity. We have capacity in our nervous systems, in our bodies, in our hearts. And I feel that is the infrastructure of peace. The infrastructure of peace is capacity. Okay, my loves, whoever is seeing this, whoever is watching this, and again, like, you know, please leave your comments, ask me questions, and I didn't figure out yet how to share the links, but this is gonna come. So for, you know, if you want to go deeper, we have the Māa'ru Matriarchal collective that you can be part of, like women and men. In the center there are only women, but also outside there are men. Very welcome to inquire together. And we are here with my beloved husband Yabo. We are birthing the ancient futuristic village. And also, if you feel their resonance, reach out. And also in Singularity Party, where I'm really deeply touched, you know, to start a different culture of politics. And if you're interested, give me a sign. I wish you a very attuned, regulated, co-regulated day. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition, listen to your instinct and your inspiration. There is wisdom in it, and it will guide you. Okay, so much love. Ciao.